Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to my Theorycrafting video where I'll be talking about a potential frontline DPS build for open world PvP and Siege Wars in New World. So the role and job of this build is to deal damage in melee range to help in the front line alongside tanks, mostly helping them with small amounts of crowd control and also securing kills. So if we have a look at the build over here, for stats, we're mostly going to be purely in strength, as we really value getting the grit on the 300 points here with our heavy and light attacks, right? So having grit in the front line will help us not get CC'd as much, okay? And also having the stamina regeneration here will help us actually survive longer, because when we're regenerating stamina during light and heavy attacks, whereas normally you wouldn't be regenerating stamina, right? So having this stamina regen will actually give us more dodges and will actually help us, and because of more dodging, help us survive a little bit longer. And the secondary stat that we would go for once we have the 300 would be Constitution. Because we're in the front line, we don't want to be too squishy, as we'll be in the front line, we'll be absorbing more damage. So we want to have this more health, really. And also the benefits from health, like 10% increased armor, for example. Plus more health just gives us more, health, right? So it's gonna help us survive a little bit longer overall. Now, I don't want to really be messing around with other secondary DPS stats like dexterity or intelligence, as it will split up the stats that we actually want. So I don't want to be taking stats away from strength or constitution in the frontline build here, just to put into dex or intelligence, because it'll just take away from our main stats, and we don't really want that. I hope that makes sense. I didn't really explain it too well, but I hope you get the idea that I'm trying to put out here. So for the build itself, right, the weapons, when it comes down to it, I actually have two variant builds here. Okay, so I got two builds here, variant 1, variant 2. Now both stats use the Great Axe, right? Great Axe is the strength weapon, and also will have a lot of synergies with the tank build, right? I'll explain that once we get there, but there's a lot of synergies involved, and Great Axe is just generally great because it has CC, it has damage. So yeah, we'll get right into that. So initially, when it came down to making this build, before I had two variants, what I did actually was I did just leave the second weapon set blank, because in New World currently there isn't really another strength focused weapon apart from sword and shield. So I did just leave it blank, but I've been thinking a lot, and what I've come down to is two different secondary weapons that we can use. I'm hoping that later on after launch there'll be a good strength focus weapon, maybe like a great sword. I think they have teased a great sword in like trailers and stuff, so hopefully we can get a potential secondary strength focus weapon. But for now, yeah, let's get into the build for the variant 1 here. Okay, so much like our tank build, we always have charge. Now we want charge because it gives us a 10 meter like dash mobility skill, right? So this is our mobility skill. I don't think that you can really run Great Axe without it, because if you get stuck in like a sticky situation, or you need to catch someone, or just move somewhere, right? You need to move a lot of the time. So having this skill is very good. So we're always gonna have charge, and we got both its passives on here because they just deal extra damage, and we also want the points to get Bloodlust here. The next skill is Execute on this variant only. Now I have heard that Execute is currently really clunky and hard to use, so this is another reason why I have two variants, right? Because on the other build I'll show you after this that we will run something different, but Execute is it sounds very strong. Now, when people are under 50% HP, you deal 30% more damage to them. Okay. We also gain grit during this attack, so it becomes unstoppable, so that we can't get interrupted when we're doing the skill. And also, anyone under 30% HP will always be critted with this skill. So yeah, if there's a low target and you can use this skill on them, and it will do like a lot of damage. So we got all the passives that also help with all that, right? So we got a stacking attack buff here. So if you attack like 3 times with light attacks, you get like, what's this, 30% extra damage, which is very nice. Okay, so when you make a critical hit with a great axe, you heal yourself with 10% of the damage done. This just helps a little bit with sustain. Again, because we're in the front line, we want to be sustaining as much as possible, because we're not fully in constitution, we're more of a strength build, so we need to be, you know, a bit careful here, but also, yeah, we need to take whatever sustain that we can really get. After one of your attacks, you get it says it's just another damage buff. Okay, another damage buff. Okay, so anyone under 50% HP, you have a higher crit chance against them. So this just helps with like cleaving and auto attacking against like half HP targets. And then this is another sustain skill here. So anyone that you attack that is under 30% health, you will heal 10% of damage done. So if you use the execute skill on someone that's under 30% HP, it's always going to crit. So you're going to heal from this skill, this trait, sorry, critical gains, and also feed. You're going to crit from that. So for the ultimate passive, on the great axe, what I found is that it doesn't really matter too much which ultimate you go for, since they both are sort of achieving the same thing, which is increasing damage. So it really matters. What it comes down to is the skills that you take, right? So because we have 2 skills in Reaper and we got more points in this tree, we take this one. And if we take other skills in this tree, then we would take Mauler's Fury, which is the other ultimate here. So that's the Reaper skill tree. Now we're going to move on to the Mauler skill tree here. So we went for Maelstrom. So it's a fast spinning attack that pulls targets closer to you. Now this sounds really, really strong to me. So when you use this skill, you'll be helping with the crowd control for the tanks, right? So what the tanks can do, since the tanks have Reap, right? The tanks can pull people in, and then the tanks can also gravity well. But when they're stuck in gravity well, you as a frontline DPS can come in with Maelstrom and also keep them in place even longer, whilst also doing damage. Consumes all projectiles whilst Maelstrom is active. Now this is massive because projectile reduction, no, not reduction, I would call it projectile absorption is huge, really, because you can protect your friend, your allies from projectiles, right? From range damage, from range pressure, which is great. I don't think this counts for AoEs. It's just like rifle shots, bows, auto attacks from the fire staff and life staff, stuff like that. So it would help just absorb damage, which is fantastic. We want that a lot. Maelstrom does an extra spin attack, pulling foes and healing them for weapon damage. So I think what this means is that it pulls a second time. And to me, that sounds like really, really nice. So we always go for this Maelstrom skill on the frontline DPS build here. We had 2 more mastery points left after this. So what we took was whilst holding Great Axe, which you'll probably be on Great Axe most of the time, you get 10% damage buff when there's 3 or 4 foes in them. And in a siege fight, this will probably be up a lot of the time. And also to sort of go with this one, we've also gone the 10% extra armor when you hold the foes within when you get 10% extra armor when there's 3 foes. Okay, so next, instead of me explaining and going straight over to the second weapon sets, what I kind of want to do is just show you guys like a variant, because of what I've heard about execute being a bit clunky and hard to land. I have made a secondary build, and I'll show you guys that here. So it's the same stats, just different skills. I'm not going to go completely over everything in this tree. So we don't have feed on this build, and we also don't have bloodlust. Now we can't have bloodlust because we don't have enough skill points in this tree. So we've gone for Mauler's Fury. So with Mauler's Fury, it only lasts 3 seconds and it stacks by 5%. But when you get these 10 stacks of 5%, that is 50% extra damage. Now, you can build these 10 stacks relatively fast, I believe, because of Whirlwind here. Now, you do a spin attack, dealing 50% damage of your weapon damage to all nearby foes. And if you hit a foe, it will spin again. So you can extend this skill to, it says here, a maximum of 4 spins. You can also move whilst doing this, but it can't critically hit. Now, here you can increase the number of spins to 7, right? So that is hitting multiple foes up to 7 times. Now, if you do the math for that, you can probably stack this skill really fast, like maybe almost instantly, right? So you're going to be getting the 50% extra damage, which might make up for the 50% damage on the skill in the first place. So you can move faster whilst doing this. So this will help you, keep hitting, which is what you want. And then if you have 3 or more foes doing it, you have an additional 30% damage. Now it can't critically hit, which is the sad thing. And to be honest, I've been thinking about like the difference between like critical gains and also like feed. So I've been thinking about like maybe swapping critical gains for feed when running this build. It was a small oversight, but I've been thinking about just swapping critical gains for feed when it comes to this variant. So small oversight there, but we can definitely do that because this skill can't crit. This makes like feed more attractive because you're not going to be gaining the healing when you crit from this skill. So it makes more sense really to take feed there. Small oversight. Again, we got the same passives here just to increase the armor and damage. And I think that's it for the Great Axe. So one more thing I just want to make clear with the synergies when it comes to the frontline DPS and the tank. So if you remember from my previous video about tank, the tank has Reap and Gravity Well, but both builds have Charge. Now, that is a lot of CC. So we got the tank pulling people in, keeping them in place with Gravity Well, and then frontline DPS can come in and use Maelstrom and Whirlwind. So in our frontline, what we have is we have the majority of the Great Axe skills working together. Okay, so now that I've gone completely over Great Axe, I'm going to now switch back to variant 1, and I'll show you guys what we have for weapons. My first thoughts was going a hatchet, and with hatchet we don't really want throwing since we're going to be in melee range most of the time anyway. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to really go like range throwing. So we put every single point into the hatchet, okay? So because I've put every point into hatchet, I don't have to go forward from here and explain like any choices, right? The only really choice I should try to explain, I guess, is why we chose hatchet. So it's mostly to do with Berserk and also the ultimate here. So Berserk just gives us a stun break, which is good if you are stuck in a sticky situation. Hatchet can get you out of there because you can pop Berserk and get us broken from stuns, right? So stuns, roots, slows, whatever, it'll get removed and you can move on and be safe. And also because of Defy Death, now what this does is every 60 seconds, if you were about to die, you would instead be, well, stuck at 0 HP. You can't die for 4 seconds. Now, this is maybe just enough time for you to like run back away from the front line and heal up. It might just be enough time for you to do that. So that's the main reason that we chose hatchet, is that it's a bit more selfish, but that's for sure. It's definitely selfish. And yeah, it will save you, right? But you're not doing any kind of support or help for the team, right? It's just a selfish kind of, hey, I'm in trouble, I can get out because I have hatchet. That's what that is for. And for the second variant build, it might come to a surprise, but I've actually chosen Lifestaff. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, why have you chosen Lifestaff if like you're gonna have no points in focus? Well, even though the Lifestaff might not heal much, there's still quite some utility that it can offer. So one of the things is from Sacred Ground here. Now, what I believe this skill is that it's an AoE on the ground that you can place down, and it will just sit there and pulse healing. But also, whilst people are in it, your stamina and mana regen are regenning 100% faster, which is good, because you can have, even though like a dedicated healer or a dedicated support class might have this as well, you're still getting the bonus of this buff. And also you'll have more coverage of this skill as well. So like if there's multiple sacred grounds on the ground, you're always going to have these buffs, right? Does that make sense? Like even though a frontline DPS put sacred ground down, they're still getting the buff here for receiving 30% more healing, and that just helps take pressure off of healers, right? So also what this will do is increase the health by 10% of your group. But that's only whilst holding the life staff. Don't get your hopes too much higher. I mean, I wish this skill would be on all the time, but it's not, right? And that's what we got here, right? So it's just a bit of help. Again, it is not going to heal much with all the passives. So and the next thing that I'm going to go over here is Splash of Light. So Splash of Light is the main reason why we actually want to go life staff, because of Purify. Now, on this current build on this website, it says that Purify removes all debuffs, when in fact, currently with the latest patch, it only removes one debuff. They have nerfed this skill because it was probably too strong. I mean, removing all cooldowns on removing all debuffs every 15 seconds. I mean, if everyone has a life staff, you can just keep cleansing, right? Keep getting rid of that. So yeah, so you would just switch your life staff and pop Splash of Light, and it will cleanse one condition on I think it's all your group, right? Yeah, so group members, yeah. So that would just help with cleansing, and I think that is very good for support and utility. Right, I'm just gonna have a quick look here and see if there's anything else that we can go over. We've done that. Okay, so now also in the protection tree we go Beacon, because you can just shoot this projectile out. It can attach to I think it can attach to an enemy or an ally. I could be wrong there, but it would just give a bit of extra healing, right? Even if it's just small amounts, you know, it just helps. Beacon heals a target, and it also applies 20% haste for 3 seconds, which is movement speed. Movement speed is good. You want to be able to move. We also have this one here. So if you, I think again, this is like if you have the life staff out, it'll be great. If it wasn't, it'll be even better, right? If the skill works whilst you're also holding the great axe. And that's if you get put below 50% health, you gain 20% movement speed for 5 seconds. And also buffs just last 20% longer, so this will just increase probably this holy ground thing, maybe, I don't know, or just all the buffs like the the haste, the speed of light, stuff like that. I don't want to go too much in depth in life staff for this build. It's basically just for more utility and group support, mostly again for the cleansing, extra health, stamina, and mana regen. That is the main reason whilst we would take this. It would just help take pressure off the group. You'll always be doing damage with the great axe. You basically have two choices, in my opinion. In larger scale combat, you would probably take life staff, I think, because cleansing is I think would be a huge thing. In smaller scale, you could probably definitely take hatchet and be a bit more selfish, for sure. I think you can definitely do that. And hopefully when a great sword comes out, and it should be a strength build, right? I think that's the logical thing to think there, is that it would be a strength weapon. Hopefully the greatsword will offer us some stuff, so we'll see. I think that sums most of this up, guys. So yeah, these are my thoughts on a frontline DPS build. I will be saving these builds and adding a YouTube link to this site, and I'll also link this builds in the description of this video. Thanks again, newworldfans.com, for providing this build editor so that I can sort of do this theory crafting. I love it. It's great. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I'll see you next time, and I'll probably go over a support build next time. All right, so I'll see you guys next time. Bye.